Most people come to Arizona to see the Grand Canyon. But if you venture off the tourist trail and take the roads less traveled, you'll find something far more intriguing. Towns that are quietly dying. Out here, there are no welcome signs, just half-collapsed wooden boards, crumbling gas stations, and the wind whispering like the voices of those who once called this place home. Every town has its own story. Some died when the mines ran dry, others were abandoned after floods, and a few just ran out of reasons to keep going. Nothing. No joke, that's really the name. Nothing began as a tongue-in-cheek experiment, a tiny desert outpost named Nothing in 1977 by Richard Buddy Kenworthy, who set it up right off US 93. The idea? A sarcastic jab at the big dreams of building something in the middle of Arizona's emptiness. At its so-called peak, the town had 4 residents and a small shop selling beer and souvenirs. But by 2005, the last gas pump shut down, leaving behind a wooden sign that read, "Welcome to Nothing, founded by nobody, believed by everybody." Now, only the sign and a skeleton of a building remain, a darkly funny, yet sobering symbol of how the American dream sometimes just ends up nowhere, literally. Up in the dry hills north of Kingman lies Cerbat, a town that feels frozen in the 19th century. It came to life around the 1860s during a silver and copper mining boom in the Cerbat Mountains. Back then, the sound of pickaxes and horse hooves filled the air. There was even a school and an official post office. But once the ore ran out, the people vanished without a trace. Now, all that's left are crumbling brick foundations, piles of rubble, and warped wooden beams. And strangely, modern topographic maps still mark Cerbat as inhabited, though these days it's mostly just owls standing guard over the past. Unlike Nothing in Cerbat, Chloride is still alive. Barely. Founded in the late 1860s, this town was once a booming center for silver and lead mining. At its height, more than 2,000 people lived here, with hotels, saloons, even its own newspaper. When the mine shut down, Chloride slowly quieted, but it never completely died. Today, around 290 people still live here, holding on to what remains of its history while moving forward, one dusty day at a time. Its most unique landmark sits just beyond town, a massive cliffside mural painted in the 1960s by artist Roy Purcell called The Journey. Its bold colors clash beautifully with the dry desert around it, a sign that even in a town gasping for breath, art can still breathe life. Chloride may be old and nearly forgotten, but it refuses to disappear. Stepping into Oatman feels like walking straight into the past. Dusty streets, old West-style wooden buildings, and the sound of wild burros braying in the background. The town sprang to life in the early 1900s after gold worth over $10 million was discovered in the nearby mountains. Back then, Oatman was a haven for miners, gamblers, and drifters. But once the mines shut down, people left, and the town nearly disappeared. Miraculously, Oatman found new life, thanks to tourists chasing an authentic cowboy vibe, and of course the burros, descendants of mining pack animals, now local legends. Every afternoon, Staged gunfights on Main Street revive the Wild West spirit, turning Oatman into a ghost town that refuses to die quietly. It goes out with a show. The name Golden Valley sounds promising, but the truth is more bitter than gold. Tucked between Kingman and Bullhead City, the area was first planned in the 1960s as a modern desert community in the Mojave. Developers promised stunning views and peaceful desert living in a golden valley. But the dry land, relentless drought, and an economy that never really bloomed caused that dream to fade. Many homes were abandoned before they were ever lived in, leaving paved roads that end in the sand. Today, only a small handful of residents remain, surrounded by sun-baked ruins and the whisper of desert winds. Ironically, from the sky, Golden Valley still looks like a city ready to grow. But on the ground, all that's left are echoes of a promise that never came true. Bumblebee. Sweet name, right? But the history is more bullets than honey. Bumblebee was founded in the late 1800s as a stopover along the gold transport route between Prescott and Phoenix. In its heyday, the town had a post office, a small school, and a dusty inn for passing cowboys and miners. But once the nearby mining dried up, Bumblebee slowly lost its heartbeat. By the 1930s, only a few wooden structures remained. In a twist, during the 1960s, a businessman tried to revive it as a Wild West-themed tourist town, but the project flopped. Today, all that's left is a crooked "Welcome to Bumblebee" sign leaning into the desert wind. Even in silence, Bumblebee stands as a small symbol of frontier grit, the kind that doesn't fade easily, even in the unforgiving heat of Arizona. Jerome was once known as the wickedest town on the mountain. Built into the slopes of Cleopatra Hill in the late 1800s, it thrived on copper mining that pulled in millions of dollars, and thousands of dark tales. Bars, brothels, and miner brawls were part of everyday life. When the mine shut down in 1953, Jerome nearly died. From thousands of residents, fewer than 500 remained. But somehow, the town didn't give up. Artists and wanderers moved in, turning crumbling buildings into galleries and cafes with sweeping views over the Verde Valley. Today, Jerome is called the town that wouldn't die. Back in 1863, Henry Wickenburg struck gold in the desert and founded what became the richest mining town in Arizona. He named it Vulture Mine, and out of it rose Vulture City, a town of noise, brothels, and the kind of gold rush frenzy that blinded many. At its peak, more than 5,000 people lived here. But fortune came with tragedy. Gold thefts, deadly outbreaks, and hangings carried out at the infamous hanging tree became part of its darker lore. After the mine closed in the 1940s, silence took over. Today, visitors can walk among crumbling brick buildings and rusted machinery, ghosts of a town that once glittered with promise. On the edge of Arizona's Pima County desert, there once was a small town called Pantano. Founded around 1880 as a key stop on the Southern Pacific Railroad, it was a rest point for rail workers, cowboys, and wanderers heading east across Arizona. At its height, the town had a school, a hotel, and even a tiny jail. But Pantano's fate shifted in 1914 when a massive flood wiped out homes and rail lines. Even though it was rebuilt, it never really recovered. Slowly, its people left, until only old foundations and a forgotten cemetery remained. Today, Pantano is buried by time, but every time a train rumbles past on the new nearby tracks, the sound of iron wheels seems to whisper, "This place was once alive, if only for a moment." Tucked into the slopes of the Santa Rita Mountains lies a forgotten mining town called Helvetia, named after the old Latin word for Switzerland, homeland of some of its founders. Back in the 1890s, the town had over 500 residents and was once touted as the future hub of copper mining in southern Arizona. They even built a giant smelter, said to be visible from miles away. But that ambition burned out quickly. A lack of water, steep terrain, and falling copper prices brought the project to a halt. Interestingly, in the early 1900s, rumors of gold in the area brought fortune seekers back, only to leave disappointed. Today, all that remains are crumbling stone walls, rusted smelter ruins, and faint traces of mining roads nearly swallowed by weeds. In the hills near the Mexican border sits Ruby, a ghost town that still breathes in silence. Once, Ruby was one of the most successful mining towns in southern Arizona, rich in silver, gold, and copper. By the 1930s, it had more than 1,200 residents, a school, a movie theater, and a general store. But what made Ruby infamous wasn't just its mines, it was the Ruby murders, a string of brutal killings between 1920 and 1931 that shocked the entire state. Today, Ruby stands as one of Arizona's best preserved ghost towns, with more than 25 original buildings still intact, from its wooden schoolhouse to a small hillside jail. In the desert of Cochise County stands Pearce, a town born from a gold dream and bold ambition. In 1894, a rancher named James Pearce accidentally discovered a chunk of gold while out herding. And that's how it all began. Within a short time, thousands of people flooded the valley, turning it into an economic hotspot and the largest gold mining site in the county. The Commonwealth mine produced over $15 million before shutting down in the 1940s. Like many other Arizona mining towns, Pearce's glory didn't last. When the gold ran out, people left, leaving behind wooden buildings, an old post office, and the Pearce General Store, which has stood since 1896. Today, the town feels frozen in time, quiet but echoing with memories of its golden era. In eastern Cochise County lies the old town of Gleeson, perched on the rugged yet striking slopes of the Dragoon Mountains. The area was originally known as Turquoise Camp, named for the turquoise stones once highly prized by native peoples, long before copper and silver were discovered. When the Copper Bell Mine opened around 1900, Gleeson grew quickly, complete with its own school, hospital, jail, and newspaper. But things changed in 1912, when a massive fire swept through and destroyed much of the town. Though it managed to rebuild, the mines eventually closed by the 1940s. Interestingly, the Gleeson jail still stands today and has been turned into a small museum maintained by local residents. Courtland. Town was born from big ambition and faded into silence just as fast. Founded around 1909 at the base of the Dragoon Mountains, Courtland was once hailed as the future of copper mining in Arizona. Within just 2 years, it had a movie theater, hotel, newspaper, and even its own telephone system, a rare luxury for a desert mining town. The population quickly swelled to over 2,000 people, and optimism ran high. But copper prices crashed in the 1920s, causing the mines to shut down almost overnight. Residents left, abandoning old cars and mining tunnels that still dot the desert today. Courtland became a symbol of how quickly dreams can fade, a town born with fanfare, but gone before it ever grew old. While most towns in Arizona were born from gold or copper, Fairbank grew out of railroads and logistics. Founded in 1881 along the banks of the San Pedro River, Fairbank served as the main gateway to the legendary mining town of Tombstone. Mining supplies, food, even raw gold passed through here. The town was named after Nathaniel K. Fairbank, a wealthy businessman from Chicago who helped finance the railroad. Fairbank was once a lively hub with a major train depot, schoolhouse, general store, and hotel. But when Tombstone's mines declined and floods wiped out the rail lines in the 1890s, the town slowly faded. Today, its surviving buildings, including the schoolhouse and small post office, are preserved as part of the San Pedro Riparian National Conservation Area, where migratory birds now fly over the fading echoes of history.